Hi, I'm Paul Guppy with our regular update of what the Washington Policy Center is doing and what we're looking forward to over the next few weeks and months. So the first step, of course, is to give a wrap up from the legislative session, which ended on time on March 10th. And of course, the Democrats have the majority in the House and the Senate, and they hold the governorship. And so they were able to set the agenda and push through most of the bills that they wanted. But sort of surprisingly, many of the ideas that they wanted that started out at being at the top of their agenda, higher taxes, more regulations, didn't actually end up getting passed. So we're encouraged by that. And they also passed some positive reforms that reflect Washington Policy Center's recommendations. So in fact, and we did this exercise last year, was we were just in the final stages of putting together a short study, which we will be sending out, that adds up all of our activity during the legislative session, the issues that we worked on, the studies we did, blogging, committee testimony on various bills, along with our positive recommendations about what produces good policy for our state, and then seeing what the outcome of those were. And what this report shows is that on 33 different bills and issues, the Washington Policy Center position prevailed. So we're actually very pleased about that. We noticed that we had a lot of impact, particularly at the committee level, where a bill would be introduced, say about mid-January, or even pre-filed bills from December. And then they look like they're just on track for passage. And they would go to committee and there would be a hearing. We would analyze the bill. We would send information to lawmakers and to the general public. And then those bills would die in committee. So there were more restrictions on nursing work, for example, or new taxes that were proposed, or new regulations on small businesses that would hurt the economy. And those ended up not passing. So there was also a bill that allowed us to cut about $298 million from school administration and put more money into the classroom. More funding for charter school students passed. A bill that allows cuts licensing requirements to allow people who have finished a prison sentence to actually find a job in the economy. So those are ideas that the Washington Policy Center promoted, and they were enacted. So we're happy about that impact. We are now looking forward to the coming summer and then the election cycle in the fall, and of course, getting ready for the following legislative session. Republicans say that they're very confident that they will gain seats in the legislature. We are not part of the political process, so we will observe that and see what the dynamics are going forward. But regarding a kind of intellectual base on free market ideas that help working families and people across the state, we have that set up now, and those ideas are always available to policymakers of both parties whenever they want to enact them. So we thought the session ended up pretty well from our point of view. Another issue to give you an update on, of course, is the state income tax effort. We had a big victory in court when a judge accepted our reasoning, our research, to explain that a bill that the legislature had passed to impose a tax on capital gains is an unconstitutional income tax. And the judge agreed with that, and that law was struck down. It is now on appeal, and the Democrats and the governor are insisting on pushing that through. So we'll see what happens next. In the meantime, an initiative has been filed, Initiative 1929, which was given a title by the Attorney General, who opposes the measure. So he had put a label on this that the tax was an excise tax. Again, Jason Mercier explained that it was an income tax. Again, a court agreed, and that original title that the Attorney General had proposed was struck down. And now the ballot title for Initiative 1929 will point out that this is a 7% tax on capital gains and propose whether voters want to repeal it. So that process is moving forward. That gives the green light to the initiative supporters to begin collecting signatures. They have to collect about 325,000 signatures by the deadline of July 8th. So that campaign is going forward. We'll see whether they make the deadline. Another issue that we responded to here was Earth Day that comes up every April 22nd. We're well aware of that. We prepare in advance. And we put together a list of promises or predictions that were made about disasters in the economy that environmentalists have been making for decades. And of course, they never come true. So we are all about facts and accountability. And when predictions are made, like the Arctic will be ice-free by 2013. There will be massive population starvation by the year 2000. One prediction was that in the future, children won't know what snow is because of global warming. We were able to show line by line with each date that those predictions simply didn't come true. And then our communications director did a clever thing. He took each of those predictions and our how they came out, the fact that they didn't happen. And he sent those out as a tweet, one by one, over Earth, all through Earth Day. Every 30 minutes, we had a new tweet going out with information about a past disaster prediction that didn't come true, in addition to the full study that we published. So that went very well. In addition, Todd Myers did an analysis of Governor Inslee's book called Apollo's Fire that the governor published some years ago, again, making many predictions about what the world would be like in 2020 or 2022. Of course, Todd found that none of those predictions came true. So he posted that as a blog, and then we issued that as a study as well. So it's turned out to be very effective to kind of keep the radical environmentalists honest by actually going back and seeing whether their predictions are true or not. We haven't found a single one that has come true. So we just want to remind people that when they hear about disaster in the future, that needs to be seen in light of the false predictions that were made in the past. Next, we're turning our focus more to economic development, focusing on job creation, lower taxes, lower regulation, and inflation. We know that this is a #1 concern. Many of us are sort of having deja vu about when inflation was real big back in the 70s. Those days apparently are coming again. So we want to show how government policy contributes to making inflation worse. If we go into recession, many government regulations artificially suppress job creation and investment. We are showing how policymakers themselves can take steps to improve the economy. We'll continue to work on that. Next, we are moving towards live events. We've returned to live events. We had a great event in Bellevue for our Pillar Society. That was a lot of fun. We had events hosted by our donors in Palm Springs and in Scottsdale, Arizona, which those were also fun. We brought in speakers, and we're looking forward to a major donor event in Spokane on May 3rd at the Davenport Hotel. And again, these are fun gatherings where everybody gets together, we're able to be with each other again, and we put out a program with our policy experts or invited speakers, and then have a question and answer period as well. So we're really looking forward to continuing live events. And with that, I'll close again with a thank you to our top supporters. Morale among our staff is very high. We're actually finding that we have a number of wins, even in Washington's kind of tough policy environment. And some of us say that, yeah, we're happy to engage in these debates, and we practically do it for the entertainment. Debating with the other side is actually relatively easy for us if we're able to stick to the facts. It's when we get into name calling, ad hominem attacks, nasty names, and things like that, that the debate can get really negative. But for our part, we always focus on ideas. We promote civil exchange of views, and we actually are becoming known as a forum for civil debate and free speech, and we welcome that role. So with that, I'll sign off and look forward to giving you another update in the future. Thanks.